In the words of William Allen White, he said, "Dip your pen in your heart of arteries and write." The purpose of journalism, writes Bill Koviak and Tom Resinal in The Elements of Journalism, is not defined by technology, nor by journalists who use techniques that we employ. Rather, the principles and purposes of journalism are defined by something more basic: the function that news plays in our everyday lives. My speech is about journalism and how it affects our society today. Journalism provides citizens with the information that they need to make the best possible decisions about their lives, their communities, their societies, and their governments. Here, according to my visual aid, 20 of 30 countries have surveyed journalism to be the most effective tool at eliminating corruption. Journalism is powerful in that the stories written help root out corruption and create better laws and practices in our lives. Journalism has the ability to change the way we live for the better. They make for a very powerful reading list, whether for average citizens, aspiring journalists, or anyone concerned with the press and with policy. See, I've gained an understanding of this job field. My work as a journalist, as I was the editor of a newspaper, helped me to decipher the truth and put the best possible stories in our paper. Also, I've written books, and those books have helped me to put together a truth that people can understand and apply to their lives. The journalist's place in the public is always placing the public's good above everything else. Everything else becomes more important when you're talking and trying to relate a story to the public. In 2012, there was a survey that was taken by Carnegie Mellon University. There was an average of 175 million tweets each day. And of those 175 million tweets, they said 99% of them was pointless babble. With that being said, there is a need in our society for journalists. The need for journalists is a journalist must be unbiased or non-biased. A journalist must also have integrity. And this what brings us into the journalist with a Christian worldview. Journalism is about telling the truth. It is about telling truthful stories. Sometimes doing that requires exposing areas that does not want to be exposed. And when you are a good journalist, you must do whatever you can to bring to light injustice. Whenever we do that as a journalist, you're going to meet some animosity. But even in your animosity, we must promote God's good. This brings me to my final point. The importance of Christian worldview in journalism. Throughout the Bible, God always had a spokesman or a reporter to report something that he was trying to convey to his people. Take, for example, Moses, how he talked to the Israelites and how he related a message from God to the Israelites. So it was more than seeing is believing. It was so God could relate to them what their ears could not see and what their ears could not hear. Christian journalists have to be willing to report faithfully things that honors God. We have to allow and tell people how God is still sovereign, how Satan is active but under control, and how man still pursues evil by nature but can be transformed. And the most important thing is we have to relate to people that God still answers prayers. When you are a journalist, you must tell the truth. Truth is what sets us free. Notice in this story, there was an accident. And in the accident, there was a victim. And the great crowd gathered around the victim and by the incident. And there was a newspaper reporter who had to get the story. and he had to press his way to the front, but he could not get there because the crowd was so enormous. So in his cleverness, he began to say, let me through, let me through. I am a son of the victim. I am the son of the victim. So they made a path for him to get to the front of the vehicle. And when he got there, he found out that the victim was a donkey. This lets you know that lying will not get you anywhere. Might get you to the front of the car, but it will not. It has nothing to do with proper and integrity-filled journalism. When it comes to careers that honor God and promote a Christian worldview, journalism can provide that fulfillment in your life. Where there are a lot of outlets for information, there is still an audience that wants to hear the truth and uncover those issues that do not honor God. So, my audience here, are you looking for a career in which employment opportunities are abound? Are you also looking for a job through which you can honor God by promoting what he values? Then the journalistic field might be the answer for your search. Thank you.